Okay, so we are live, we are recording, and it is Thursday evening, and the date is, I should know this by now, it's Thursday the 26th of April. So, good evening and welcome to this evening's UK team training call. I'm, again, I say this every week, but I'm really excited about the guy that we've got on tonight. We're bringing you the best of the best of the best at the moment, and we're bringing you people that are making it happen for direct sellers. Now, this guy is new to the company. He's only been on board for a few months now, and we got to hear him in Vegas. And I reached out to him a couple of months ago, I think it was, and just asked him, look, would you be up for getting on our team training call? Would you be up for sharing your story of who you are and where you've come from and what brought you to direct sellers? And obviously he said yes. Everyone says yes to the UK team training call. So guys, make sure that you've got your pens and your paper ready, but more importantly, make sure that your phones are turned over and you give this guy like your full attention. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce you to direct seller's very own wine maker, Mr. Steve Burch. Steve, are you there, my friend?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic stuff. So Steve, I'll pass the call over to you, but I guess, just tell your story, really. Tell us what your background is. Tell us where you grew up, what got you into the wine industry, and more importantly, what got you into direct sellers, and how excited you are about where this is going to go.
Sure. So my background, I grew up in the Midwest of the United States in Ohio, and I really didn't have a lot of interest in wine until I hit probably about my early 20s, mid 20s. And I got interested because, I don't know, just out of curiosity more than anything else. And I started going to wine tastings and wine appreciation classes. And there was a particular wine bar that I spent a lot of time in. And at some point, as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I wanted to study the sciences. And I realized that, well, there's a school out in California that teaches winemaking, and it's a science. And from that point on, I decided that that's what I wanted to pursue. So I moved out to California in 1994 to start going to school at the University of California, Davis, in my opinion, one of the top 5 winemaking schools in the world. And from that point on, that was my main focus. And I really became obsessed with the science of winemaking, and so the chemistry behind, the biology behind it, and I mean, you'll hear a lot of people talk about, well, the romance and the magic of wine and all that stuff, and that's I understand where that comes from, but I am fascinated just by the magic of the natural biology that creates this product that we all like so much. So I went through school. I graduated from UC Davis in 1998. And I started working in the wine industry. I actually started working in the wine business, working at wineries in 1996. So I've been working in wineries for 22 years now. And I came out of school, and I was immediately, the job landed in my lap to become the research winemaker at Mondavi Woodbridge, which is a huge winery. They make millions and millions of cases of wine. And I was in charge of making, well, about 800 gallons of wine, and that was in 80 different lots. So it was a really hands-on job, and it was really based around research in the vineyard, research in the winery, how the winemaking techniques and the vineyard techniques. I'm more interested in it. I went from there to the Napa Valley. I worked at a winery called Flora Springs. And again, I was mostly in a scientific and or research capacity in that position. I did open my own winery in 2003 and had that for 6 years, and it was great. But it's really difficult to do a small winery in a remote location in California. So I had to move on from that. But from there, I moved into the consulting role that I'm in now, and really that's how I found Direct Sellers. Is a dear friend of mine who was working with Direct Sellers on the direct consumer side. She and I had talked, and you guys might know of Jenna. Jenna Domingio, who's the direct consumer consultant and handles a lot of logistics stuff. She works also for Wine Direct. So she introduced me to Kevin, and I started having a conversation with Kevin about becoming the winemaker. And of course, I said I'm all in. I really like what this company does for the people who work for it. And I like what it does for the wine consumer because it opens up your horizons to so many opportunities, so many different wines you can try from all around the world, and really great stuff that you would have a hard time finding otherwise. And so that's the part I really enjoy about this. I get to go to the winery where we're bottling all this stuff and we're tasting all these wines from around the world. And I don't know, that this is what I got into this business for, is so that I can share these amazing creations with as many people as will try them.
Fantastic stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of people on the call that have obviously never met you. I think there's probably only a few of us that have actually kind of heard you speak in Vegas, and there's probably a few that are listening to this now and that will watch the replay that have, that don't know who you are really. So I'm gonna open the call up in a minute to some Q&A if that's all right with you, Steve. But
sure, absolutely.
What would you say was the, I guess, the biggest incentive, or the real big thing that got you interested in coming on board with Direct Sellers? What was the standout thing that got you really excited about joining DC?
Honestly, it's those last few things that I talked about, and really it's because the wine world has grown into a very top heavy, at least here in the U.S. it is, and I think it's probably like this in a lot of places, but the distribution of wine is controlled by so few people. It's actually, I mean, there's so little opportunity for a small winery, a small brand, an unknown variety to make it to consumers really anywhere. And so that the part that was most attractive to me was the idea that we could have all these fun and unique wines that we could get in front of people really around the world. The wines are coming from one part of the world and going to another part of the world, and it's direct to the consumer. It's direct to the people who want to drink the wine from the people who are producing it. I mean, I'm there before the wines are bottled. The wines get bottled, and then they go to the customer. That's the connection. That's the connection that we want with the products that we're consuming. It's also the connection as a producer we want with our customers. I don't want to just make a product and sell it to a distributor and say, oh, here you go sell it to that store over there who's going to sell it to that other guy. I want to know who's drinking the wine. I want to meet the people who are buying it. It's more fun. That's a big reason why I do this.
Yeah, fantastic. I've got a couple of other questions before I do open it out.
Sure.
In your opinion, which country would you say produces the best wine?
Oh, you can't ask me that question.
All right. Well,
no, let me give you an answer with a qualification, and that is, at any given time, you can find the best, most amazing wine you've ever had in your life from wherever you might be. I don't think it's very country specific, but I will say this. I think the people who are making wine in any given area, who are sort of pushing the boundaries of how we make wine and the use of technology to produce wines, they're making the best wine. And it's not a country specific thing as much as it's an attitude specific thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. We've been lucky to travel quite a lot over the years, and we've been to some amazing places and really have tried some unbelievable wines. San Francisco was our latest venture, and you're aware probably more than most how good wine is in obviously California and in San Francisco. But
Yeah.
we're very lucky to be involved in a company that produces such a magnificent product. So my final question before I open the lines out, where can you see direct sellers going? And in terms of like wine clubs out there worldwide, where can you see direct sellers becoming, or where can you see it going, should I say?
I honestly, I mean, as far as the company specifically, right now, Direct Sellers is one of the largest wine clubs in the world. I mean, it's funny. I mean, if you go to any individual winery, everybody has a wine club. Everybody says, well, you know, we have a wine club. We sell direct to consumers, and yeah, that's true. The average size for a wine club in California is 5,000 members. And I don't know the specifics of Direct Sellers. I know it's a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
But think about this: the largest wine company in the world, Gallo, and of course it goes back and forth between Gallo and Constellation. But the fact is, Gallo's wine club is only 6,000 people.
Wow.
Well, that's because they're focused on that old style of distribution. And really the wave of the future in the wine industry in general is direct to consumer. And Direct Sellers is at the front edge of that. This is building the next model for wine buying for everywhere. And it's because, let's face it, as a producer, as a person who makes wine, I like I said, I want that connection. I want to sell that wine direct to the people who are going to drink it. And I know that I can, if I'm not selling it to a distributor who has to mark it up, and then they send it to a store that has to mark it up, and everybody's adding in their cut. Well, if I'm selling it direct to the consumer, I'm selling it for a better price.
Yeah.
So that's where I see things going. Is I see this model, direct to consumer, is not going to eclipse the traditional model, but it's certainly going to compete with it.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've got 15 people on the call. I can see everybody is on. Who's got a question for Steve? I know we've got some very big wine fans, some enthusiasts, and people that have got a lot of knowledge in the wine industry as well. So use this time to ask the expert. So who's got a question? Who wants to ask Steve a question?
I do, Paul.
Go for it.
Hi, Steve.
Yes, please.
Yeah, how you doing, mate? Yeah, I was in Vegas, mate. Fortunate to be there when you was on stage, mate. Fantastic. I took a lot on board. My question is, because I'm not really much of a wine connoisseur, but I understand the opportunity that we've got here. When somebody asks me about what is the difference, and this might be a daft question, what's the difference between like a screw cap and a cork cap? Why is there a difference? And can you give me like a good answer why there is like one's a cork and one's a screw cap?
Well, okay. I have a biased opinion myself, and that is that as the winemaker, the guy putting the stuff in the bottle, I want the stuff I put in the bottle to stay the same as it is, or improve, but I want it to be right. And really the difference between those two closures is a cork is a piece of tree bark that seals the bottle and will allow some small amount of oxygen to pass into the wine during the aging process. But it's still a piece of oak bark. And a screw cap, the screw cap doesn't allow really any oxygen into the bottle unless there are new technologies that are being used that will allow for the same amount of oxygen to get into the bottle as with a cork, with screw caps, with micro perforations. It's a long story. We don't need to get into that stuff. But the fact is, when it comes to closing a bottle of wine, there is really effectively no difference between a cork and a screw cap within the first 5 years of a wine's age except for the fact that the cork is a piece of bark that might have other flavors and stuff that it's going to put in the wine. This is where the whole cork taint idea comes from. It's a compound called 2,4,6-trichloroanisole. And the cork industry is doing a very good job. They're doing a lot of hard work to remove that and not have that taint the wines that the corks are in, but they're not at 100%. Whereas with screw caps, there's an absolute 100% rate that it's not going to have TCA. I mean, so I look, I have no problems with screw caps, and I put screw caps on wines that I bottle personally, that I do, regardless of the price, because I know that I can rely on it. Does that make sense?
It does indeed, mate. I think it might just be a man thing. When there's a cork in the wine bottle, I'll say, I'll do it. But when you see a screw cap, it's like, oh, there's no fun there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm with you on that one. Corks all the way. Corks all the way. Cheers, Steve. Thank you, mate.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. They work well. They're not going to go away.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Who's got a question? Who's got a question for Steve? Come on, some of you guys I know have got questions about. He is the wine maker. Michael, go for it.
Steve, can I ask, what's your favourite grape in a wine? What's your preferred grape that you use in wines?
Oh, wow. It's changed over the years. I have to say there was a time when I really wanted, the only wines I wanted to make were blends of Syrah and Grenache. I still really love those blends, the Chateauneuf de Pape style wines. I'm leaning more now towards, I don't know, I love Cabernet, and I know it's passé. Everybody has Cabernet. Cabernet Sauvignon is everywhere. But there's a reason why. I mean, it makes some of the most intense and amazing and age-worthy wines. That being said, there are relatively unheard of grapes that I've worked with that I really like. They're a lot of fun. There's a grape called Tannat, Tannat. You guys might even be familiar with it. I don't know. It's from the southwestern area of France, and it makes intense dark wines. That's a fun one. And on the lighter side, I love Pinot. I really love Pinot. I love drinking it. Making it is a pain, man. That stuff is temperamental. It's hard to make really great Pinot. And for white wines, I'm still leaning towards the Rhone white variety. So Viognier, Marsanne, Roussanne, and a blend of those three. Grenache Blanc. I know that's not one answer, but I don't have one answer. It's always a mix. It's always a lot of things.
Thank you, Steve.
Good question, Michael.
Of course.
Who's next?
Yes.
Who's got a question? Who would like to ask Steve Burch, the direct sellers winemaker?
Just a quick one.
Go for it, Carl.
In terms of presenting the wine, now, given some of our experiences, there's some people over in the UK absolutely fantastic and have gained qualifications. But what, in terms of holding kind of wine parties, what do you reckon should be kind of the focus from your perspective? Obviously, the taste is one important factor. But what would you kind of say from your kind of experience would be the key kind of selling points?
I really think the key selling points of this are the variety. It's just the different wines that you can try. I mean, okay. So I just trotted one of those varieties out that's everywhere. Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay, it's one of my favorites. It's great, but I encourage people, and I think the selling point of this club and this opportunity is the variety and the fact that we have 6 to 10 options come in the winery every month that we taste and say, okay, well, this is this variety, and these are from around the world, and and we're putting together this variety of wines that you don't see. You're not going to see that in a grocery store unless you go really looking for it. You're not going to see. It'll be hard to find a lot of this stuff in a wine store. So it's the opportunity to try really unique wines, amazing wines from around the world that you wouldn't find otherwise. They're not going to show up on a grocery store shelf.
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
Saskia,
Of course.
Have you got a question? No, I thought you was going to ask a question. Has anyone else got any questions? Very quiet tonight. Very quiet tonight.
I guess I'm popular.
Yeah, I think you are.
I'll ask a quick question then. So, hi, Steve. It's
Sure.
Saskia. Hi. You were just
Hi.
talking about, the great variety, and that's one of the unique selling points of direct sellers, which is, absolutely what I bought into. I'm just wondering when we might get a few more, is the intention to get those sort of rarer grapes that, as you say, people can't find on their shelves? Do you think are you going to be focusing on that as you're selecting the wines for our group as we go forward? Because I'm quite interested.
So when you say rare grapes, you mean rare varieties?
Kind of more unusual ones. So I mean, we get a sort of, there's familiar grapes that you would find in the UK, in the super, and then there's some sort of slightly more unusual ones. So I think most people would know a Pinot, they would know a Sauvignon, they would know a Shiraz. But it's, we've had a few that have come a bit more unusual. I'm just kind of wondering, what the ambition is of direct sellers to really start bringing some different ones in.
It's definitely there. I mean, we definitely want to do we do want to do the variety and look, I get to make these decisions. So any opportunity that I get to share with you a wine that you maybe have never heard of or that's not just not that common, I will take that opportunity. So long as the wine is there, so long as it's good enough. I mean, that's the other. It's got to be good enough. There's lots of really obscure varieties that people have turned into really bad wine, which we're not.
Yeah.
those are easy to reject. But any opportunity that we get to bring in a unique variety to share with the club and with the customers, then yeah, we're going to take it. Great.
So it'd be good to be able to sort of educate our customers a little bit and just, as we say, get them to experience.
Exactly. No, and I'm sorry, I want to make sure I throw this in there, and that is, it's the opportunity to open people's minds. I mean, it's easy to get overwhelmed with the selection, in a wine store or wherever. It's easy to be overwhelmed, especially when you're looking at a whole shelf of 300 of one type of wine. Mm-hmm. But showing somebody something unique that they've never seen before, never heard of, or is hard to find. It shows that it's worth the pursuit. It's worth the effort. It's worth joining the Direct Sellers Club to receive these really unique wines that are a lot of times a one-of-a-kind experience. We may be able to get it again, we might not, but the fact is, there are always going to be good wines. There's always going to be fun stuff coming in that box.
Great. Thanks.
Great question. I know.
Uh-huh.
I think it was this month or last month we had a white bottle from the Albarino grape. That was absolutely amazing. It was a really nice wine.
Yeah. That was a beautiful wine for sure.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite whites that we've had so far. So yeah, I totally agree with Saskia in the fact that if we can get some of those, more unknown grapes out there where people look at it and they don't just get excited about the name of the wine, but also the name of the grape, because again, a lot of people out there know Cab Sav, they know Shiraz, they know Merlot, they know, and if we can get some of these, I think early on we had a Grenache as well. That was like a real good one. But yeah, a great question there, Saskia. And as I said, with you on board now, working with Jerry, it's only going to get better and better. And I think that if we can give the end person, that customer, that real total VIP experience of giving them a top quality premium wine that they've never heard of, they've never tried, they've never seen, they're not going to find in a supermarket, that's when we can really kind of say, we've got something special on our hands here, because we have all this, I know we've got that already in the fact that we've got the VIP program, we've got the opportunity to help people get wine for free, we've got the opportunity to help people experience wines from around the world delivered to their door. But as I said, I think that would then take it to a whole new level, because it's great. It'll be wines that you've really got to kind of go digging for. And as I said, I really look forward to opening my box like every month and just seeing what's in there. And, I say it at meetings and say it at socials. It's like Christmas 12 months of the year with direct sellers, because you never know what you're going to get. Right, we've got time for, where are we? We've got time for 2 more questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna ask him a couple more. So, who's got a question? Who wants to ask Steve a question? Anybody?
Can I double check when Steve's heading over to the UK? Because I know it was discussed briefly or touched upon that it could be happening, but is that actually in the kind of plan?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have you got any kind of intention to head over to the UK anytime soon?
Me personally, now, you know what? Nothing's on the schedule right now, but I'm all for it. I'm more than happy to jump on a plane and come over. That's entirely up to Kevin. I go where I'm told when I'm told to go there. So, if it makes sense, I'm happy to do it. And, I think it'd be worthwhile.
Okay, Paul, make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
there you go.
It's down to us to create excitement, to create urgency. And, calls like tonight is great because it's different. It's great hearing from the people in the field that are, creating like huge success. And it's great hearing from like the corporate staff about what they're doing. But to be involved in a wine business and hear from a winemaker is something completely different. And, I've got a hell of a lot out of tonight, and I'm pretty certain that everyone else that's on the call tonight has got a lot out of it as well. Right. Sure. Has anyone got any more questions before we round it off? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Right. Steve, I've got 2 questions for you. The first one.
Yes, sir.
And I asked this to every one of the founders when at the beginning. How good is Kevin Ralston?
Oh, he's great. I love him. You know what? He's obviously he's a super sharp, a very sharp businessman. But he is one of the nicest guys I've met, and he's a lot of fun to hang out with. I love hanging out with him and talking. And I'll be honest, when he and I get together, we do drink a little bit of gin, but he's a super great guy, and I really like Kevin.
Yeah, he is. He's a class act. I think Tara rates him as her 3rd favourite American. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Right, final question for you before we close out. Red or white? What's your favourite?
Red.
Red.
I gotta be honest. I probably drink about 85% red wine and 15% white.
Nice. Well, Steve, I really appreciate you jumping on tonight. I know you're a busy man, and we're all very grateful for you taking the time out to join us for our weekly team call. This is recorded, so I'll send you the recording as well. I'll also get it into the group. Guys, appreciate you as always jumping on. Tomorrow, as I said, I'm in Liverpool with Saskia. Monday night we are back with our opportunity call. And then next Thursday night, we've got the milkman himself, Mr. Anthony Raspin, sharing his wise words of wisdom. So that is a call that I definitely don't want to miss, but it is a call that you don't want to miss. So, Steve, once again, really appreciate you jumping on. Thank you for a fantastic call. We all really appreciate it. And we're all really, really excited about where this is going with you on board now. But enjoy the rest of your evening. Steve, enjoy your afternoon, my friend. Guys, have a great weekend. And
thank you.
Again
Thank you, Steve.
For the team call.
All right, you're welcome. And thank you all for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.